Hello, it's good to have you with us at this hour. I'm Daniel Che here to provide you with the latest. President Park Geun-hye will address the National Assembly this week on North Korea's recent provocations. The leaders of the nation's main rival parties on Sunday accepted the president's request to speak at Parliament on Tuesday, where she will likely stress the need for national unity and seek cooperation from lawmakers on bolstering national security in light of the increased tensions on the peninsula. President Park is also expected to urge the swift passage of related bills, including one on counterterrorism initiatives, and another on North Korea's human rights. Another official at the presidential office said the president could meet with the leaders of the two main rival parties after her speech. South Korea has raised its military information surveillance status up a notch in response to the growing threat of cyberterrorism from North Korea. According to a military official quoted by Seoul-based Yonhap News, Seoul recently upgraded its Information Operation Condition, or Infocon, believing there is a greater possibility that North Korea could launch cyber attacks. The 5-tier system is used by the military to defend against computer network attacks. It was raised to level 4 following the communist state's nuclear test last month, and now a week after the North's long-range missile launch, it has been raised to level 3. The official said there have been no hacking attempts against the defense ministry or armed forces, but the higher alert level is being maintained to watch for signs of such attacks. U.S. defense officials are growing increasingly concerned about North Korea's intercontinental ballistic missile capability. A new Pentagon report affirms it could be capable of reaching the U.S. mainland. The regime has yet to flight test the weapons, though. For details, let's turn to our Oh Soo-young.
If North Korea's push to develop a road-mobile intercontinental ballistic missile is successful, it would represent the biggest threat thus far to the U.S. homeland from Pyongyang. That's according to a new Pentagon report released on Friday that reaffirms earlier analysis. The new report assumes the missile has already been deployed, and it is estimated to have a range of more than 10,000 kilometers, which puts much of the U.S. mainland well within its reach. Also, its mobility could make the KN-08 difficult to track, posing an even greater threat to U.S. mainland security, according to the Pentagon report. U.S. security officials expressed their concerns on the matter last week.
North Korea's nuclear weapons program and evolving ballistic missile programs are a continuing threat. North Korea also continues its effort to expand its stockpile of weapons-grade fissile material.
James Searing, director of the Missile Defense Agency, also remarked that the United States' decision to increase the number of ground-based missile interceptors in Alaska and California by 2017 was made to counter the possible threat from the KN-08. North Korea first unveiled a missile at a military parade in 2012 and showed it again in 2013. However, the Pentagon report states that the full-fledged development of an ICBM requires numerous flight tests, and the North doesn't seem to have conducted any so far. Meanwhile, as part of defense measures against the North's latest long-range missile launch last Sunday, the United States has deployed additional Patriot missiles to Osan Air Base, which is located south of Seoul. The missile system can intercept both short-range missiles and longer-range models such as Scud and Rodong missiles. Oh Soo-young, Arirang News.
The South Korean factory owners who had to suddenly pack up and leave the inter-Korean Kaesong industrial complex have been provided with some degree of relief. During a special meeting on Sunday, South Korean Finance Minister Yoo Il-ho pledged all-out support for the businesses. Here's what he had to say.
The government is working to come up with measures to help them, including an injection of emergency relief funds and an extension of the deadline for outstanding loan payments.
You also called on Seoul's business community to exercise a spirit of friendship and chip in, as government measures alone will not be enough to help the Kaesong firms get back on their feet. The meeting was attended by a number of high-ranking government officials, including the Trade Minister and Financial Services Commission Chairman. There's evidence the majority of the wages paid to the North Korean workers at the inter-Korean complex was used for the regime's weapons development programs. Seoul says the normalization of operation now hinges on Pyongyang's next move. Kim Min-ji brings us this report.
70% of the money that's paid to North Korean workers at the Kaesong industrial complex has been used to develop nuclear weapons and missiles. That's according to South Korea's unification minister Hong Yong-pyo, who says the money was transferred to the ruling Workers' Party for weapons development or to purchase luxury goods. Hong said that workers at Kaesong are paid in cash, but instead of going straight to the workers, the money goes to the North Korean government. In an appearance on South Korean television, Hong said the park was not shut down when such activities were first detected due to the significance and positive impact of keeping the factory complex, a symbol of inter-Korean cooperation, open. He said this time, however, the North was revving up its weapons development activities and stern action was needed to address the growing security concerns. Earlier in the day, the Unification Ministry released a statement with similar details, saying it had received reports from multiple channels claiming that workers' wages had been funneled into the North's ruling party after similar concerns were raised on Friday.
There are rising concerns that North Korea has been using money earned through Kaesong to develop weapons of mass destruction. The South Korean government has collected several pieces of evidence regarding this.
The minister said that no significant movements have been detected in the factory zone since South Korean workers were expelled and all South Korean assets were frozen. Saying the shutdown will probably hurt North Korea more in relative terms, Hong said the government is reviewing various support measures for the South Korean factory owners and their staff. Over 120 South Korean firms were operating in the complex, which employed some 54,000 North Korean workers. The minister said the shutdown is intended to teach North Korea a lesson, and only when Pyongyang shows its willingness to address the concerns of South Korea and the world will discussions on normalizing operations at Kaesong take place. Kim Min-ji, Arirang News.
South Korea and the European Union have agreed on the need for stronger sanctions on North Korea. Seoul's foreign ministry said Sunday the consensus came at a meeting on Saturday between South Korean Foreign Minister Yoon Byung-se and EU Foreign Policy Chief Federica Mogherini. Yoon is currently in Germany seeking support from countries participating in the Munich Security Conference on stronger action against the North. Mogherini voiced her support for his efforts and said the EU is currently examining ways to bump up its own sanctions on Pyongyang. Yoon also met with his German and Egyptian counterparts on the matter, both of whom agreed on the need for stronger and more effective measures. The number of top Korean goods in the global export market shrank slightly in 2014. That year, according to a report by the Korea International Trade Association, the number of South Korean products with the largest share of the global export market came to 64. That's down from 65 the previous year. Export market share only considers the proportion of a given product to the total amount shipped across borders, whereas global market share views the proportion of a given product from a country in the context of the total amount sold globally. Korea added 17 new number one products to the list, while 18 others were dethroned. Of the total, 47 remain at the top of the global export market for 2 consecutive years, while 20, including semiconductors and automobile parts, did so for 5 straight years. In 2014, China had the largest number of number one products in the world's export market. The passing of an influential American conservative figure has sparked a political battle among U.S. presidential candidates and leaders in both the Republican and Democratic parties. Supreme Court Justice Antonin Scalia, known for his fiery comments in and out of the courtroom, died Saturday of natural causes. He was 79 years old. His death comes in a crucial election year and has raised a question of whether President Obama should name a replacement or let the next president make the call. It underscores the huge political stakes in the 2016 presidential election, as the appointment will undoubtedly shift the ideological balance of the court for years to come. President Obama has already said he will name a successor, while Republicans have called on him to wait. Scalia was nominated in 1986 under President Ronald Reagan. It's common to see people bouncing a crying baby to get them to stop, and if you're one of them, here's something you should really open your ears to. Recent studies show if a baby is shaken too hard, it could result in permanent damage or even death. Park Se-young tells us the danger of shaken baby syndrome.
When caring for a crying baby, shaking the baby too hard can cause what's known as shaken baby syndrome. If a baby is forcefully shaken, the brain moves back and forth inside the skull, causing bruising, swelling, and bleeding. It usually occurs when frustrated parents or caregivers severely shake a crying baby. Shaken baby syndrome happens most often in infants up to 1 year, with babies under 6 months being most at risk.
The symptoms are quite vague. The baby can seem limper and more irritable than usual and have a small appetite. Some clear signs would be altered consciousness and seizures.
When driving with young children, they must be seated in baby car seats to stay protected from sudden stops and bumpy rides. Park Se-young, Arirang News.
And now for the weather. After a week of people dressing for spring, cold wave advisories have been issued once again for Gyeonggi-do, Gangwon-do, Chungcheongbuk-do, and Chungcheongnam-do provinces. Seoul will start the day at a frigid minus 10 degrees Celsius on Monday morning, while Daegu will be at minus 6 and Daejeon 8 below. Seoul will rise to minus 2 later in the day. Daegu will get up to 2 above 0 and Daejeon at 0. If you're in Jeju, brace yourself for some strong winds and snow. And now let's check out the weather conditions outside of Korea around the world. And that brings us to the end of our newscast. As always, thank you for watching.